New season of Marvel Snap couldn't go fast enough because last season was bad. Those were poop cards.
Stinky poop.
Season pass review. What's up, nerds? We're gonna take a look at all the new cards in this video, give them a letter grade. But first, let's jump into the new ability that just released, Activate. So Activate is going to be an ability where basically the card flips over on the turn you play it. You can't activate it then, but when at whatever turn or whatever point that you would be able to activate its on reveal or its ability, you can then do it. See, it's basically a delayed on reveal in which you can't do the turn that you play the card. It's super cool. I love it. It allows for a lot more card design ideas, and they're going to apply it to older cards, which is really good because a lot of their older cards, like for instance Hell Cow, I believe they are changing. It would be much better if it was an activate card. So yeah, a lot of cards that maybe weren't played before are now going to get better, and cards coming up in the future are going to be a lot more interesting. Anyways, let's get into this card, Symbiote Spider-Man. Symbiote Spider-Man is a 4 energy, 6 power card that reads Activate. Merge your lowest cost card here with this. Copy its text like it just revealed. So overall, I think this card is fine. I'm pretty much thinking about this card like the past couple of season pass cards, like Sebastian Shaw, and Gwenpool, and just it's gonna be, I think, in the same ballpark as those. Where like in one deck it's gonna be pretty good, but I don't think Symbiote Spider-Man in particular is really gonna see widespread play past the first week of its release. Now, there's lots of good effects that this card can copy, but it's, I don't know, it's weird. It's like, yeah, sometimes this card is going to be good, but most of the time you're going to just be copying effects like Iceman, I don't know, Hazmat, whatever. You get my point though. Like, usually I don't think it's going to blow you away, but in certain decks and certain scenarios, it's going to be pretty solid. Overall, I'm giving Symbiote Spider-Man a C+. Silver Sable is up next. Silver Sable is a 1 energy, 1 power card that reads on reveal, steal 2 power from the top card of your opponent's deck. So this card is awesome, really, but in only one deck. Okay, maybe more than one deck, but if those decks that she's going to be good in, I promise you will all consist of Falcon and Beast or one or the other. Anything outside of that, I just don't see it. I don't know why you would want a 1/3 unless you're like a Hazmat Ajax type of deck that just wants to put as many afflict abilities in the deck as possible. But yeah, outside of that, it's a bounce card. But in bounce, I think it's going to be one of the best cards. Getting this thing up to a 7 power and basically making the top card or whatever the opponent draws like significantly worse or just straight up unplayable is super strong. I'm giving Sable a A+ in bounce and a C- everywhere else. Madame Web is up next. Madame Web is a 2 energy, 1 power card that reads ongoing. You can move one of your other cards away from here each turn. Interesting card, I think a really strong card. Once again, like Silver Sable, only good in one specific deck, a move. But it's interesting because it's an ongoing, so the opponent will be able to shut this down with cards like Rogue, Enchantress, even Red Guardian. But even then, I think in the move archetype, this might be one of the better cards it's ever gotten. Outside of the cards like Dazzler and Vulture and Human Torch that actually get the power when they move, I think Madame Web is for sure better than Cloak and Doctor Strange, and maybe even just as good, if not better, than Iron Fist and Ghost Spider. Mostly because it's a 2 energy card, so you can get the ball rolling with her pretty fast. But yeah, Madame Web, alongside the next card we're going to talk about, Aranya, I think is going to put move in a place where if it's not good now, it'll never be good. And if it's good, it's going to be so good that I think it'll probably get touched up a bit in the near future. Madame Web gets an A- in move and an F everywhere else. Next card
La Araña Discoteca
is a 1 energy, 1 power card that reads Activate. Give the next card you play +2 power and move it to the right. So if this card was just a straight up on reveal, I think this is the card to break move, but it is an Activate. So when you play it on turn 1, you're gonna have to wait till turn 2 to actually activate it. But really, the only reason I think they made that an effect is because of cards like Falcon and Beast. Either way, I think it's super good with cards like Human Torch, obviously amazing. It's fine with Dazzler and Vulture. I mean, why wouldn't you want to give them +2 power? But You're not going to be able to activate it multiple times in a game. Either way, I think this is just straight up better than like Iron Fist, Ghost Spider, even maybe Madame Web. I don't know, Madame Web can trigger multiple times, so that might be better than this. But I think this is like the new premier move card. Araña gets an A- in move and an F everywhere else. All right, last card, Scarlet Spider. I've never heard of this character before. I know a lot about Marvel, and I don't know half these fucking cards that come out. What is this? Who's the Scarlet Spider? There's enough spider people. Stop it. Scarlet Spider is a 4 energy, 5 power card that reads Activate. Add an exact clone of this to another location. So this card is pretty interesting. It's in the vein of Brood and Mr. Sinister, but I think it's actually better simply because it's an Activate card. Also, you can add it to a different location, so it's not gonna give those weird, awkward board positions like Mr. Sinister and Brood does. But anyways, yeah, it's an interesting card. I like it. I don't think it's going to be super duper solid, but there are going to be decks just like Mr. Sinister and Brood where like when they're good, they're super good, and usually the deck revolves around them, like the Patriot Brood type decks where this card is going to be solid there. But outside of that, I don't really see it. And that's really the theme of like this whole season. They're super strong cards in specific archetypes, and we haven't really got that in a while, so I think that's pretty cool. I'm going to give Scarlet Spider a B-. All right, those are my thoughts on the cards this season. I like all of them. It doesn't matter like how powerful they end up being. I just like the cards this season and what they're going to do for specific archetypes, and just the fact that there's a new ability coming out, especially because the last season was like, dude, if you're trying to make all those cards from last season work, you're trying too hard. They suck. Stop it. If you want to read about all the new locations and the variants and stuff like that, then go to a website, because I'm not going to do that for you. Thanks for watching. Later, nerds.